Good. Okay.
Halloween in the 20th century. At the turn of the century, Halloween became a little different than it was in the 1800s. At the turn of the century, you saw something a little different between kids and adults. It wasn't just, kids weren't just, there to trick or treat as they do today. Halloween then, you saw parties. These kids would come around and they'd all get together and they'd have games and bob for apples but it was the 1920s and 30s that you saw kids and adults come together at Halloween. They still had parties, you saw them still go and they had the same games, but Halloween became more social for the adults during the 1920s and the 1930s. During the end of the 1930s into the Second World War, Halloween took a break. Halloween at that time was not a big priority on everybody's list since we were fighting Nazi Germany and Japan. Kids weren't really out going around trick-or-treating. They were getting scrap metal and selling scrap metal for the war effort. After World War II and everybody came home, they had a big baby boom. And then during the 1950s, Halloween came back full force. Trick-or-treating was revised. Instead of parties now, kids, it was more of a social event. Parades and kids would go around knocking on doors, and it was kind of just a time for everybody just to have a good time and kind of get out with everybody. During the 1960s and 1970s, and in the early part of the 80s, Halloween kind of took a dive due to scares and stuff because of candy getting razor blades and being laced with poison and stuff. And so trick-or-treating kind of turned down, and they had more church events. Everybody go to church and they'd hand out candy and stuff there. The funny thing about it was that most of the accounts of kids being poisoned came from their own family that was doing it. It wasn't until the 90s, though, that Halloween really took in full force and is what we see today. In the 90s, everybody kind of came together and went out, and now you have big Halloween parties. You have your people adults are dressing up. Everybody's ready for a good scare, so they're going to haunted houses and in haunted hay rides, and they're out having a good time. It's not just a kids holiday anymore. It's for adults now too. Halloween, though, as a fun fact, Halloween is the second most income producer next to Christmas. So that's it, I guess.